Okay, so I'll chant. Please repeat. Om Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraikapanaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Geetamritaduhe Namaha Karpanyadoshopahatas Svabhavaha Pritchami Tvam Dharma Sammudhachetaha Yat Shreyasyan Nishchitam Bruhi Tanme Shishyasteham Shadimam Tvam Prapannam Shri Bhagavanuvacha Ashocyananvashocastvam Prajnavadamscha bhasase Gatasun agatasunschа Nanu shochanti panditaha Vihaya kaman yas sarvan Pumamscharati nisprihaha Nirmamo nirahankaraha Sa shantim adhigacchati Yoga yukto vishuddhatma Vijitatma jitendriyaha Sarva bhutatma bhutatma Kurvannapi na lipyate Uddharedatmanatmanam Natmanam avasadayet Atmaiva hyatmano bandhuhu Atmaiva ripuratmanah Ahamatma gudakesha Sarva bhutashayastitah Ahamadischa madhyam cha Bhutanam anta eva cha Bhoktaram yajna tapasam Sarva loka maheshwaram Suhridam sarva bhutanam Jnatva mam shantim richati Etu sarvani karmani Mayi sanyasya matparaha Ananyenaiva yogena Mam dhyayanta upasate Etu stesham aham samudharta Mrityu samsara sagarat Bhavami na chirat partha Maya veshita chetasam Adveshta sarva bhutanam Maitrah karuna evacha Nirmamo nirahankaraha Samadukka sukha kshami Santushta satatam yogi yatatma drida nischayah mayyarpita mano buddhihi yo mad bhaktas same priyah. Harihi Om Tat Sat. So, we have been seeing the essence of the Gita, where we saw Arjuna asks the question to Krishna, saying, enlighten my intellect, right? Enlighten my intellect. I am confused. Tell me what is right, what is wrong, and I am your disciple. Please teach me. This is a beautiful prayer of Arjuna. And the Lord, in response to that, he gives the summary of the entire Gita, which is Na Anushochanti Panditaha, right? By the real knowledge of who am I, what is who is God, what is this world, by the correct knowledge, you can be free from all sorrow. And then we saw what is the goal, and we saw that this goal is very, very natural. This entire universe is evolving and progressing towards this goal. We saw how the lower animals, they have only security as the goal. Then the next higher animals, they have pleasure also as the goal. And when it comes to human beings, dharma is the goal, values is the goal. And then beyond that, we saw that moksha is the goal, complete freedom is the goal. So artha, kama, dharma, moksha, we saw. And Gita has got several shlokas, several sections, in fact, which describes the nature of the person who is free. The Jivan Mukta, how does a Jivan Mukta behave? How does he look? How does he do things? So that was there. And this shloka is from the Sita Prajna Lakshana. Similarly, there are Jivan Mukta's descriptions in 14th chapter, 12th chapter, 13th chapter, multiple places it is there. And we also saw what is not the goal and what is the goal, right? So Gita does not promise a life without problems. No, life will have problems. But in spite of the ups and downs of life, the Jivan Mukta will have peace, right? Shanti, Shanti Madhigachati. So Shanti is what you will get. Problem, life means it will have problems. Sitoshna, Sukha Dukkeshu, Labha, Labhav, Jaya, Jaya, right? Shita, Ushna, heat and cold, right? Cold and heat. Shita means cold, Ushna means heat. So cold and heat will be there. Sukha, Dukkha will be there, right? Pleasure will be there, pain will be there. Labha, Alabha, right? Gain and loss will be there, right? And Siddhi and Asiddhi, success and failure, that will be there. But in spite of all these ups and downs of life, you will have peace of mind. That is what Gita promises. And so we saw that wisdom is the way to the knowledge. So what is preventing us from having this wisdom? Then we saw that there are three problems. One is depending upon this world for security, depending upon this world for pleasure, and a wrong knowledge of our individuality. So we have a identification with a limited individuality, which is wrong. So these are the three problems, right? We saw they are basically called Brahma Granthi, Vishnu Granthi, Rudra Granthi in the tantric parlance, right? In their terminology. And then Krishna also gives how to overcome these three. So Yoga Yukto Vishuddhatma. So by following Karma Yoga, you become free from, your mind becomes pure. Pure mind means mind which does not have likes and strong likes and dislikes, right? So Karma Yoga is the first way. First, we have to do. Then Vijitatma Jitendriya. Then after that, you have to do Dhyana Yoga to win over the senses. Now, once you have to an extent accomplished these two, then we are ready for the Jnana Yoga, where by the hearing Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, we have the knowledge, and that will free us from all sorrow. We saw that process, and then we went into the Panchakosha Viveka, where we saw that I am not this body, which is Annamaya Kosha. I am not the life principle, which is Pranamaya Kosha. I am not this mind, which is Manomaya Kosha. And I am not this intellect, which is the Vijnanamaya Kosha. These are all my instruments. And as an individual, my identity is with the Karna Sharira or the Anandamaya Kosha, which basically contains the Karma, Samskara, and Jnana. We saw that, right? And that is what matters. And by identifying with the Jivatma, which is the Karna Sharira, I can disidentify or drop my identity with from the lower four koshas, and after that I go to the next level where I drop the identity with the jivatma also and identify with the pure consciousness. We saw how sat equal to chit because both are nirguna at the fundamental level, and because of that aham brahmasmi, we discussed all that. And then we came to the Ishvara idea. So there are three ideas of Ishvara. Ahamatma Gudakesha Sarvabhutashayastitaha. Ishvara is the Lord is the pure consciousness. He is the self residing in the heart of all living beings. Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hriddeshe Arjuna Tishtati. He says, Kshetrajnam Chapimam Vidhi Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata. Like that, there are so many shlokas where Krishna says, I am the self residing in the heart of all living beings. Then Ahamadischa Madhyamcha Bhutanam Antayevacha. This entire universe is nothing but God. Right? Vishwarupa Ishvara Darshana. This entire universe is nothing but God. This is the second idea of God. Then the third idea of God is the personal aspect. Bhoktaram Yagnetapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhridam Sarvabhutanam Nyatvam Shantim Richati. The Lord is the omnipresent, He is the omnipotent, and He is the compassionate person. And then He can be worshipped through any form, name. And we saw the five forms of worshipping God, right? The Paravasudeva, then Vyuhavatara, Vibhavavatara, Archavatara. So we saw all that, right? So with this, we have covered the highlights of Vedanta, right? So basically, the basic core concepts are all covered with this. And what is remaining now is the practical aspects, how to put them into practice according to Gita. So this class, at least the first at least 45 minutes of the class, we will spend on a more deeper review of what we have seen so far. Okay. So let us start like so let us start a review. So far whatever I told based on the 12 shlokas we have selected, now let us look at it in a slightly more systematic structured approach. So we saw the jiva tattva. The jiva tattva is that all living beings are essentially a conscious core covered by three bodies: gross, subtle, and causal, right? Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Karna Sharira. And we saw that Stula Sharira is nothing but Anandamaya Kosha, Sukshma Sharira is Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, and Karna Sharira is Anandamaya Kosha. So that is the mapping. So sometimes we will use three bodies, sometimes we will use five koshas, but essentially they are the same, right? So this is what we find. And then we saw that the Jagat Tattva, the insentient world. What is the insentient world? The three bodies are all insentient, and rest of the insentient universe, the sticks and stones, right? The mud, the water, right? All the Panchabhutas, they are all insentient Jagat Tattva, right? Then the third one is Ishvara Tattva. There is one supreme universal conscious being, whose will manifests as all the laws and all the matter and minds and all living beings in the universe, they're all put together, is the Ishvara. So we saw just as how our body has got so many cells, which each one is an independent living being, similar, and what is their relationship to us. Similarly, is our relationship to Ishvara. So Ishvara is that universal being who identifies himself with this entire universe. And Ishvara exists, Ishvara is real, and we can transact with him through various means. That's what we saw as the in the personal God, right? So he is the universal being and he is in and through this universe, and he is conscious and he responds back to our transactions. So Ishvara is a real entity. The Lord exists, right? That's what we saw. Then we saw the Nirguna Tattva. Nirguna Tattva is a much more fundamental realm of this, all the three. So Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, all the three are manifestations in the relative realm of the supreme pure consciousness, which remains unmanifest in the absolute realm, right? Now, these are all technical terms which we already saw. Unmanifest, right? Avyakta, which we saw with the example of that dots in a grid and the squares and rectangles which we can count, right? The adhyasa we saw, right? So the unmanifest, the dots, which is the reality, Satya Vastu, and then the in the relative realm, the manifested one, the squares and hexagons, they were superimpositions on the Satya Vastu, which is a Mithya Vastu. So all these three, Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, all these three are part of the superimposition, the Mithya Vastu, and the unmanifest is the Satya Vastu, right? So that is a Nirguna Brahman. The Nirguna Tattva is the unmanifest, and the Jiva Jagat Ishvara is the manifest. So this we saw. So now what is the goal of life? The goal of life is to realize the unreality of limited individuality of the Jiva. So we saw how this entire physical universe belongs to the physical, uh, the whole physical whole. Similarly, life belongs to the universe of life. Mind belongs to the universe of mind. Intellect belongs to the universe of the intellect. We saw everything at every stage of the Panchakosha. We saw that this individual kosha does not exist apart from the universal prapancha, right? So we saw that this everything is part of universe only, and individuality is only a fiction. The individuality saying I am separate, I am a separate individual is only a mental construct. It is only for the sake of transaction. It is not real. Right? We saw that. Understanding that is the goal of life, right? Knowing that God alone exists and there is nothing else other than God. That is why Sri Ramakrishna always keeps saying the goal of life is to realize God. What do you mean by goal of life is to realize God? Means that God alone exists and nothing else exists, right? So I am not an individual apart from God, right? I am not an individual apart from God. God alone exists, and that is the goal. Now, life gives us experiences like pleasure, pain, success, failure, gain, loss to ponder over and realize this truth. Now, this is one very, very important one. So, we saw last class that the Ishvara is the Suhrut, right? Suhrudam Sarva Bhutanam, right? And he is the well-wisher. But when we say well-wisher, what does the Lord wish for us? What is being well according to the Lord? According to the Lord, being well means spiritually progressing. Spiritual progress is what this world is designed for. This world is not designed for giving pleasure to people. This world is designed to give wisdom to people. Swami Vivekananda has a beautiful quotation: wisdom is the goal of life, pleasure is not the goal of life. Now, this one idea, if you understand clearly, you can answer most of the dilemmas in life. Okay. People often ask, why is there so much of suffering in this world? Why is there so many natural calamities? Why are so many poor people, starving? Why are so many people, suffering so much? Why is it? Why is it? Is God cruel? You know, doesn't God have any compassion? People ask all these kind of questions. The core of this is, when you ask, why is there suffering in this world? When you ask, there is a implicit assumption in that question that you are saying pleasure is the goal of life. Why are people suffering? Pleasure is a goal of life is a wrong understanding. It's a wrong assumption based on which this question, why is there suffering in this world, is asked. So whenever someone asks, why is there suffering in this world, you ask, there is an assumption in that question that pleasure is the goal of life. Now, no, pleasure is not the goal of life. That is the fundamental misunderstanding. Pleasure is not the goal of life. Wisdom is the goal of life. Now, the moment you have this understanding that wisdom is the goal of life, now all the ups and downs of life, all the success, failure, gain, loss, all the various good and bad experiences in life, everything falls in place. Because it is only by going through all these things a person can attain wisdom. It is only by going through all these ups and downs of life and pondering over it and then thinking about it and developing vairagya because of that, only by that a person can attain wisdom. And that wisdom is the goal of life. So when you have this understanding that wisdom is the goal of life, now you will find that this world is it's been perfectly created. This entire universe, this entire world has been perfectly created for attaining wisdom. Jivatmas should attain wisdom, and every Jivatma's life and this entire world is created exactly in the right way, with the right mix of pleasure and pain, with the right mix of success and failure, so that that individual can attain wisdom. So, the goal of life is wisdom, and the purpose of life is to push us towards vairagya, to push us towards pursuit of this wisdom by putting us into pleasure and pain, right? If you see how a blacksmith makes a sword, now a sword is a very, very uniquely crafted one. It has to be sharp, it should not break, but then it should be stiff, but it should bend. It is very, very a unique combination. So how does the blacksmith make the sword? They'll put it in the fire, heat it, and then put it on the anvil, beat it, and then put it into the water and cool it. And then once it is cold, they'll again put it into the fire, again heat it, again beat it, again cool it. You know, that is how life is, right? We are put into the fire, we are beaten in life, and then we are given some pleasure like cooling the sword, and then after that the cycle repeats, and then sharpening, polishing, all these things are done so that finally the final product is perfect. Now that is exactly what happens in life. So the goal is not pleasure, the goal is wisdom, and this wisdom can be got only by going through life like this. So if anyone asks, why is there suffering in this world? This is the answer. The goal of life is not pleasure. The goal of life is wisdom. And this world has been perfectly created by the Lord to enable Jivatmas to attain Vairagya and Jnana. And so this world has suffering, right? So the world having so much of suffering is by design. It is not a problem. It is not a defect. The world having suffering is by design. It is a feature. It is not a defect. Right? This is how the world is supposed to be, because the goal of life is wisdom. This understanding you should have very clearly. Now, all sorrow in life is because of not understanding the goal of life, right? We the not understanding the goal of life is the cause of all sorrow and wrong identification with the body and mind. These two, if we are able to solve, then we'll be able to face life with full of enthusiasm, cheer, and energy, right? 2 points, right? The goal of life is not pleasure, goal of life is wisdom, and I am not this body, I am not this mind. So this is what we need to understand. When we know this, then we will be free from all sorrow. Now, these are the tenets of Vedanta, right? Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, Nirguna Tattva. What is the goal of life? Why is life the way it is? And what is the cause of sorrow? And how to be free from all sorrow. Now, this is the gist of what we have discussed so far in all these 7 classes so far. Now, this has been put together in a very, very beautiful, poetic way in the Mundaka Upanishad, and Swami Vivekananda has given a beautiful English translation for that, right? This Dwa Suparna Sujaya Sayuja Sakhaya, right? So, the Mundaka Upanishad, I'll just read it, right? Because I don't think I can use better words than Swami Vivekananda's words. So, the whole of the Vedanta philosophy is in this story. Two birds of golden plumage sat on the same tree, one above, serene, majestic, immersed in his own glory, the one below, restless and eating the fruits of the tree, now sweet, now bitter. Okay, so there are two birds, right? One above, one below. Now, the moment we see this, we should be able to understand this is the Karana Sharira and this is the pure consciousness, right? So, the Karana Sharira, the Jivatma, right, is this, and this is the pure consciousness, right? I as the pure consciousness. Now, the lower bird, as identifying with the Jivatma, he goes through life, right? Eats fruits, right? Restless, eats fruits, and sweet and bitter. Now and then we face ups and downs of life. Once he ate an exceptionally bitter fruit, then he paused and looked up at the majestic bird above. But he soon forgot about the other bird and went on eating the fruits of the tree as before. So, when we have sorrow in life, when we have suddenly a calamity in life, that is when we look within, we look up towards, and we find, and from at this point, we see this higher bird as the Lord, as Ishvara. We say, hi, the pure law, the Ishvara, the Jnani, right? They are not affected by all these ups and downs of life. I am only getting affected. So when you have a exceptionally big problem in life, at that time you look up, and now what happens again, right? But he soon forgot about the other bird and went on eating the fruits of the tree before, right? So again, we get distracted by the world around and we again start eating bitter and sweet fruits. Again, he ate a bitter fruit, and this time he hopped up a few boughs nearer to the bird on the top. So when there is another, when life keeps beating us with problems, then we say, okay, let me go to Tirupati, let me go to Dharmasthala, let me go to Kuke Subramanya, let me go to Vaishno Devi, and you kind of start going to the ashram, attending some Vedanta classes, to understand why is it happening to me, right? For so you go. Initially, you go for, we saw, right, like the four types of bhaktas, right? Artha, Jignya, Surartha, Arthi, Jnani, Cha, Bharata, Shrava, right? So we first start with, looking up because we are facing problems in life. And then when we do that, slowly we start getting some bhakti, listening to some lectures, and we just having some satsanga. We slowly hop more towards that bird, right? This happened many times until at last the lower bird came to the place of the upper bird and lost himself, right? So when you go very, very close, and then what did he find? He found all at once that there had never been two birds, but that he was all the time that upper bird, serene, majestic, and immersed in his own glory. So the moment the Jivatma reaches certain level of maturity and goes very close to the Paramatma, the pure consciousness, then that aha moment comes where, oh, I am that bird, I am that upper bird, and there had never been two birds, right? There was always only one bird, right? Now this actually, um, so this very, very beautifully shows this, and this same thing has been picturized in a very different way, in a very, very similar, the same idea, same concept, everything, in the Harry Potter movie. If you have seen the third movie, Prisoner of Azkaban, right, where Harry is lying on the bank of the pond and he's been tormented by the Dementors, and at that time he looks to the other side of the pond, and a luminous golden yellow luminous deer appears, and he looks at that deer, and by the sight of the deer he gets the energy and he recovers from the dementors. And then late he keeps wondering, he initially thinks, okay, that was my father who came and saved me, right? And then later, he finds, like, with all the time travel and all that, he later finds that actually that other deer on the other side is actually himself only. Like, he himself, in one form, he was getting tormented by the dementors on this side of the pond, and he himself on the other side came as that deer to save the Harry on the other side, right? So later you realize that there were never two, there was actually one, right? So Paramatma and Jivatma are not separate, they are actually the same. You come to know when you reach the Paramatma. When we say reach, it's basically an cognitive, right? When you understand, yes, this is what is the truth, then you understand that there has never been two separate Jivatma and Paramatma. They have been always be the same. It is the Paramatma who plays the role as the Jivatma also, right? That is what you understand. So now, when we started this entire series, I had prepared one slide. I had shown one slide where I had said, this is the outcome of this whole series, and this is what you will be able to understand in this series. So here, so now that we have covered all the concepts, that exactly the same slide I have just put here. Now you should be able to answer all these questions from the point of view of Gita by now, right? What is the purpose of life from the point of view of Gita? What is the difference between animals and human beings, right? And what is the purpose of human beings in this universe, right? So what is the purpose of life? Wisdom, right? Freedom from all sorrow by wisdom. What is the difference between animals and human beings? Human beings have free will, dharma, right? We follow dharma. What is the purpose of human beings in this universe? The universe itself gets its purpose by human beings progressing and evolving through artha, kama, dharma, and moksha. That's how the universe itself evolves, and human beings are a part of the evolution of this universe, right? The universe manifests its higher nature through human beings, right? Who are you as an individual? I am the Jivatma, right? I am the Jivatma, pure, and as an individual. What are the real things that matter at the end of life, right? Punya, samskara, and jnana, right? We have to gather punya, we have to gather good samskara, and we have to gather the right knowledge, jnana. Who is Ishvara? Ishvara is that supreme being who identifies himself with this entire universe. What is the relationship between Ishvara and the world? Ishvara has manifested as the world, Vishwarupa Ishvara, right? The world is not different from Ishvara. What is the relationship between Ishvara and the individual? We saw the example of the wave and the ocean and water, right? So as long as we are identifying with the wave, we are the wave and Ishvara is the ocean, right? And if we identify ourselves as the water, then there is no difference between Ishvara and the individual. But as long as you think you are an individual, Ishvara has to be accepted and Ishvara is real. So Ishvara is always as real as your own individuality. Right? Why do good people sometimes face tough situations? Because the goal of life is not pleasure, goal of life is wisdom, and only through facing tough situations that we will be able to progress in life. And again, whatever we face in life is because of our own past karma. So even though we are good now, it is possible that in the past we have done something which deserves the current situation. What does successful life look and feel like? Now, this is question I want to leave it open for you, right? So you go, you'll get this PDF at the end of the class. So go home and think about this last question. And this is a question which you need to answer for yourself. Based on all this understanding, you need to answer this question for yourself, right? So now, having gone this far, now let us have some practical, some practice session. Okay. So practice session, understanding life situations. So let us have some uh, live conversation. Okay. So what I'll do is let me unmute. Okay. And still continue to share. And we will. Yeah. Okay. Fine. So, okay. So let us have a live discussion. I will ask some questions and let us see how much we have understood Gita so far to answer these questions. A person won a huge sum of money in a lottery. Where do you think he got that money from? Whoever wants to answer, you can unmute and you can answer.
It's God's grace, Ji. Because கடவுளோட அருள் இருந்தாதான் கிடைக்கும் எதுவுமே.
No, huh? But why does God bless that person with this money? Why did God bless that person and not someone else?
This past karma?
Past karma, right? So in the past, he has worked hard and probably he did not get the returns immediately at that time. So that is there in his account, in his so-called karma bank account, and it has manifested in the form of winning a lottery. So you will not get anything for free. Okay, even if a person wins a lottery, that is not free money. It comes because in the past you have done some work. Or it can also be that, okay, you are given a free money now, and in future work will be extracted from you, right? You will be made to work without getting paid in future to compensate for the lottery which you have won now. So winning a lottery is dangerous, right? Probably in future you'll have to pay for it. Is that clear? Right? So God's grace is another answer, but God will bless. God is basically karma phaladata. He gives you the phala of your karma. So that's also a right answer. But God as karma phaladata will give you the phala of what you have done before. Right? So where did he get the money? He got, like, he had worked before and he was not compensated sufficiently, or in future he has to work without getting paid. So that is how this money comes from. Is that clear? Okay. So, next question. A person works hard in his office, but somehow success eludes him. He feels that he is not being paid enough for his work. What do you think is happening?
He must working from his past karma.
Huh. So,
He must
can
have
can you elaborate?
he must have cheated so many people in his past life. So
Yes,
that
possible, right? He might have cheated so many people in his past, or maybe he won a lottery in the past. That is also possible, right? In the past, he won a lottery, and now he is paying for it, right? That is also possible, right? So, the bottom line, what you need to understand is the nature has a perfect balance. Nothing comes for free, and nothing goes waste. Whatever work you do, you will get the results. You will get exactly what you deserve, not more, not less. Not 1 rupee more, not 1 rupee less, you will get. You will get exactly what you deserve. So if you are working and if you are not getting paid, it means, okay, fine. Either it is getting accumulated for the future or you are repaying for which you are overcompensated in the past. Right? That's what we should understand. Okay. Suppose a friend has been facing a lot of bad situations. He has lost a lot of money in poor business ventures. He's thinking of committing suicide. Why do you think committing suicide is not the right decision?
Because it will be continued to the next birth also, that problem.
Yes. Right? So committing suicide is not a solution because if it is your karma is what you are facing, and by committing suicide, you are not solving the problem. You are not closing the karma, right? In fact, there is a very interesting real life incident. So there was one college student who, in the first year of college, and he did very badly, and he had some two subjects arrears, and he was frustrated, and he came to one of our Swamijis, and he said, Maharaj, he cried, what is this, Maharaj? Like, I have failed in this exam, and no point, and I'm going to commit suicide, and I'm going to kill myself. And of course, he had been attending Balak Sangha and Tarun Sangha and all, and so he had the background of all these concepts. So the Swamiji, the Maharaj told him, see, now you have two subjects as arrears. Next semester, next year, you can compensate, you can take up these two also, and then you study properly, and then you can clear these two. So just two subjects you need to clear. If you commit suicide, you will be again born, and right from LKG, UKG up to 12th standard, you have to study again. Now at least only two subjects you have to study again. But if you start from the beginning again, you have to again go through another 15 years, right from nursery, first standard, second standard, right? You have to study till 10th standard, 11th standard, 12th standard, and again come back to college. Now, do you want to just repeat two subjects, or do you want to repeat the entire 12 years of schooling again? Now, that is your choice. That is what the Maharaj told him. And luckily, the student was convinced. Though it looks very funny, but that is the truth. Right? So, whatever problems we have to face, we have to face. And it is better to face the problem. And by running away from a problem, we are not solving the problem. Right? We cannot escape. We have to face and solve. And that is how we will develop spiritually, because every problem is put in front of us so that we evolve spiritually. Right? That is the goal. And by running away, we cannot evolve. We are not solving the problem. So we have to remember this, right? And in fact, in such a situation, except this Vedanta based answer, there is no real effective answer, a convincing logical answer why a person should not commit suicide. If a person says, I'm facing so much of problems in life, everything is all down, everything is running south, I want to kill myself, suppose someone says, except this answer from law of karma, there is no other convincing argument why a person should not commit suicide. There is no convincing argument other than law of karma. Right? Fine. We'll go ahead. Suppose you have a friend who is badly in need of money. The friend is a good person. His need is genuine. Like say he wants to pay the school fees or college fees for his children, let us say, for example. But the friend has no means to return the money in the near future. What should you do?
We should help him
Hmm?
because he is genuine, right? So he is a good person, and he is a friend of us, so we know him better. We should help him at this stage.
Yes. Right? So you should help him, even though you know that this money is not going to come back. The probability of this money coming back from him, the probability that this money comes back to you from him is almost zero. But then law of karma is there. So your money will not go away from you. So if that money is yours, it will come back to you in some other way. So don't worry. When there is a need, go and help the person. Right? Understood? Where someone needs, go and help the person. Don't worry. Right? Your money will be yours even if you give it away. So law of karma is there. There is a big accountant who is keeping the accounts. So even if you want to get rid of your money, you cannot. Your money will come back to you. This and what you don't deserve will not stay with you even if you hold on to it. That is also true. Right? If something is not yours, if it is, if you don't deserve it, how much ever tightly you hold on to it, it will not stay with you. And something which you deserve, even if you give it to others, somehow it will come back to you. So law of karma is there. Chitragupta is a personification of the account keeper, right? So accounts are being kept, right, in nature by the Lord. So we don't need to worry too much about all these things. Just wherever there is an opportunity to help someone, go ahead and help the person. Don't worry. Okay. Fine. Next. A person works in a government office. He draws a decent salary and other benefits. To do his assigned duty in the office, he takes bribes from the citizens. He is clever and can manage without getting caught by the law. What do you think will happen to him in the future?
Very sure God will support and help him in so many ways.
How will God help him?
He will
Huh.
definitely face the consequence because this is not a good karma. Taking bribe and kind of not or trying to get something which is not meant for him. Definitely he will go through bad phases, and the karma what he is doing it now will be subside with a negative account.
Yes. Right. So whatever he takes, which he doesn't deserve, it will be removed away from him. It will be forcibly taken away from him eventually. So there is also another saying which says, ill-gotten money will be spent in wrong way. Money that is got in by through good means will get spent in good and noble ways. Money that is got by wrong means will get spent in wrong ways or bad ways, undesirable ways, like drinking, gambling, or poor health, right? You take bribe on one side, and finally you'll have to pay that money to the hospital only. Or probably, like, you take bribe, and like, suppose if a person takes bribes, probably his son becomes a drunkard, and he wastes away the money, and also he wastes away his own, that guy's life also. So like this, money which is got in good means will get spent in good ways. Money that is got through bad means will get spent in bad ways, creating much more problem and anxiety and all kinds of problems, right? So even if you earn less, it is more important that you deserve the money which you get. Now, here I have mentioned that, okay, government office taking bribe and all. Now, this applies to even people working on a private employment also, right? If you are getting a salary more than what you deserve, then that is as good as bribe only, right? Like, if you work very less, but then if you get paid more than what you have worked, then that is also corruption, right? If you have not worked sufficiently that you deserve the salary that you are getting, that is a corruption, right? That is also corruption. So a lot of people say, okay, I want to work as less as possible, but get as much salary as possible. Now that is corruption, right? If you work less and if you get paid more, then that is corruption, and that is also bad karma. Okay. So ensure that even if you are working in a private institution, ensure that you work enough to deserve the money that you get, right? So one easy way of doing it is for, I'm telling especially to employed professionals, like, you have your monthly take home, right? After taxes, whatever take home is there, you divide it by 30. So now you have what is your 1 day salary. You keep that number in your mind. And at the end of the day, you ask yourself, okay, this is my daily salary. If I hire someone to do the job that I have done today, would I be comfortable paying this money to that guy for today's job? Understood? You divide your salary, your take home by 30, and end of the day, you review, okay, what have I done today? What have I achieved today? What have I contributed to my company, to my job today? Okay, this is what I have contributed. Now, this is my daily salary. If I hire someone with paying money from my own pocket, if I hire someone, right, and if I have to pay this money for this work, what I have done today, will I pay or not? Will I be happy to pay this amount or not? If I have to pay from my own pocket. Now, this check, self-check, you do every day. If you, some days you will work more, some days you will work less, which is okay. But then the answer should not be no continuously for more than 3-4 days in a row. If it is there, then you are corrupt, right? If the answer is no for 3-4 days in a row continuously, then you are as corrupt as a government official taking bribes, because you are getting paid more than what you are working for. Now it means you have to work more, right? Work more, contribute more, right? So corruption is not something only in government office. It is also for private. And you have to be your own judge, because finally it is all your karma. It is your spiritual progress that you are looking for. So if you want to progress in spiritual life, then you need to take care of this. You need to ensure that you work more and you are not corrupt. Is that clear?
A very bad child is born in a very pious family. What is the explanation?
I'm not able
very
to
bad.
understand. Can you talk closer to the mic?
A very bad child is born in a very pious family. What is the explanation?
Yeah, all past karma only, right? See, just because today a person is pious does not mean that the past the person had been also. See, one thing we need to understand is nothing comes undeserved. Okay. If anything happens in our life, it is because that is what we deserve. Because something we did in the past, we don't know. And just because we don't know what we did in the past does not mean we should not have it in the present. See, suppose I have a stomach ache and I have a diarrhea, I have a loose motion, and I go to the doctor. The doctor says, see, there is food poisoning because of which you have diarrhea. Probably you ate something bad yesterday. Tell me, what did you eat yesterday? And I think hard. What did I eat yesterday? Morning I ate idli at home only, no problem. Afternoon, I don't remember what I ate, but night also was okay. But I don't remember what I ate. Now the doctor says, oh, okay, fine. Probably you ate. You went out to eat? Yes, yes. I went out to eat, but I don't really remember what I ate. No, 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 okay, fine. Probably you ate something which was spoiled or something. That is why you are facing this problem. Now, suppose if I say, what doctor, this is unfair. I don't remember what I ate yesterday afternoon. Why should I have diarrhea? I don't remember what I ate yesterday afternoon. Why should I suffer? Why should I face this problem? Now, just because you don't remember doesn't mean you should not have the problem, right? Whether you remember or not is not of consequence. You ate something bad, so you have diarrhea today. That's it. Whether you remember or not, nature will work. So, just because we don't remember what we did in the past does not mean we should not suffer now. That is a very illogical argument, right? We have to understand, oh, because I am suffering now, I should have done something wrong in the past. Because I'm having diarrhea now, I should have eaten something bad yesterday. That is the way the logic works, right? So now if I'm facing some bad situation, it means I have done something wrong in the past, even if I don't remember, even if I don't know. Now I should look forward and see, okay, how can I compensate? What medicine can I take? What prayaschitta I can do? And how can I avoid such things in the future? What lesson I should learn from this? Now, this is what our thinking process should be, right? That's what we do, right? So we should look, we cannot deny the past. We have to see, okay, what lesson should I learn and how can I do more good so that the situation becomes better, right? Like taking a medicine. The doctor will say, okay, take this medicine. Okay, so I will take the medicine, that is so that the situation becomes better. My karma becomes better. The Lord will say, follow this diet, right? And then the Lord will say, in future, be careful with what you eat. So these are the three things which we need to do, right? We need to do prayaschitta and we need to improve our sadhana. We have to improve our future action and we have to ensure that in future we don't repeat such mistakes again, right? That's what we need to do. Everything happens by the will of the Lord, and the Lord is a just person. The Lord will give exactly only what we deserve. So that we need to understand.
Hello.
And with everything that happens in life, we need to think what lesson the Lord is trying to teach me through this. Probably the Lord is because I have some bad karma which gets burnt by this. So fully do justice to the situation, do everything that is needed for the situation, and there is the only way to get over the karma. There is no escape. Clear?
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello.
Yep.
Sir, we are hearing that the creation is being sustained on its own. I mean, whether an individual performs or not doesn't matter. The creation is sustained on its own, right? So, in which case, uh, see, when we live in a society, we claim some rights, but at the same time, there is a responsibility at source. The rights and responsibilities go together. I mean, when we see something which is not good happening in the society, should we be blind to that? I mean, there is something called as Swadharma, which Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita. So, what is the Swadharma of each person? I mean, we go by, like, in government offices, so many things are happening. We just have to say that at least if somebody start questioning that particular practice, I mean, people will uh, I mean, they will not get into that kind of this thing. Even for example, in an office, if we are there is a computer and a mobile kept in a table, when there is no one around, uh, people who have got ill intention, they will be tempted to take that mobile. But at the same time, if there is someone to question at that point of time, normally they will avoid those kind of situations. I mean, taking the mobile or any valuables kind of a thing. So in our case, in the society, what are we supposed to question and what we are not supposed to question? I mean, there is a right also, but at the same time there is a responsibility also at individual level, right? What is the role of Swadharma in such cases?
So, if you have a strong feeling that this should be done, then that is your Swadharma. You go ahead and do it. Right?
Okay.
Understood? So, but you have to do it in a dharmic way. Right? You have to do it in a dharmic way. So if you are very disturbed by these things and you have some ideas, you have some means to solve the problem which you think will work, become an activist, right? And start an organization or join an organization which works on these things and work towards it. Clear? See, complaining without action is wrong.
Yeah, correct. That is what I'm saying.
Either you should not complain or you should act towards it. Either you say everything happens by God's will and I have no complaints. Then okay, no problem. But if you have complaints, if you are not comfortable with it, if you say like, no, I cannot accept it, I cannot agree to it, then you have to become an activist now. You have to work for it. Complaining but not acting on it is absolutely not acceptable. Clear? So if you have a complaint, it means your Swadharma is to act on it. Clear?
Okay.
So,
One more question.
yes.
In the last example, like taking the bribe. So let us consider the perspective of the person who is taking the bribe. But suppose I go to a government office and I have to do some work, and I'm facing the situation where I have to pay the bribe, right? If I see my context, then maybe like I have snatched that money somewhere else, my past janma or karma. That is why I'm paying it out. But at the same time, is it not good to think also, like by paying a bribe, I am also, supporting him to do a good, bad karma, right? Is that not a good thought process to also explore?
See, ultimately, there are a lot of gray areas. Okay. But what is common is whatever you do, it will come back to you. Now, if you think, oh, this is something I'm supporting, doing bad by paying bribe, fine, then don't pay, right? Avoid it. Try to see if there are alternative ways. But if you say, okay, fine, like I know by doing this, I'm creating bad karma, but I'm okay to face the consequence. This situation I cannot handle, so let me go ahead. but then I will do some prayaschitta. I will, like, whatever bribe I'm giving this guy, like maybe I'll donate something more somewhere else, or I will work somewhere else. Like, so see, basically it is all left to the individuals. Okay, that if you do a bad thing, you will get a bad thing. That is a law, no one can change. But then you have the freedom to decide, okay, I know this is wrong, but I'm not willing to pay the price of, you know, going through some inconvenience of this. So willingly I'm okay to go through this. I know I will have to pay the price. I don't complain that, okay, I'm getting some bad karma, but then I will manage it. I will try to do something else. So all those things you can do, right? We do that in everyday life, right? Suppose if you have to go from one place to another place. Now you say, okay, I've got three options. I can walk down, I can take an auto, or I can take a bus. Now, if I walk down, then fine. Like, I will have to spend this much energy, this much time. Okay, now if I'm willing to pay 10 rupees, then I can take a bus and I can reach the same place. And but it is inconvenient. I have to wait for the bus. Now, if I want to go faster, then I have to pay a bigger price. I have to pay 50 rupees for an auto for the same distance. Now, I will reach there, but then I have to pay the price. Now, if I'm willing to pay the price, fine. So, what is important is you should be conscious about the whole thing. Okay. Then, given the various options, you can choose whatever you want at that point of time. The law is uniform, right? For everything, you have to pay a price. Now, then it is up to you to decide what price you want to pay, where, how much. That freedom is given to you. Understood?
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Makes sense actually. Yeah.
Good.
I
So,
think,
yeah. Hmm.
can I
Yes, yes.
just chime in?
Yeah.
I
Please.
think, like you said, there are a lot of gray areas, and I've seen, for example, and I'll just take practical examples. There are
Yep.
there are registering agencies for your house or something, right? And the corruption in a way is being systematized, right? That certain things will happen by giving certain money. There are middlemen, and that's how it is done. And then you, by giving that money, are not actually taking away someone else's right. There could also be other situation where by giving bribe, you are actually someone who was ahead in the queue. Now you are getting ahead, and you are taking someone else's. Let's say there is a limited resource, and someone else was supposed to get. And so I think, in the first case, I wouldn't consider that to be, something very immoral. While I do not want to propose, I do not want to start. But if there is a systematized thing, and if everyone does, and because of me doing, someone else is not losing, that's a one kind of thing, versus the other kind, which is where you are actually cutting the queue. Someone else who actually deserves is not getting it. Then you are more morally responsible to not encourage that. So I think there are nuances.
There are nuances, and different people have different level of their moral judgment, right? Now, this is an unending argument, right? One person can always come up with some other argument and say, okay, no, for these reasons, even though you say it is right, it is actually wrong. Like, no, it's all there. Okay. So what we need to understand is, like, it is, there are gray areas, and you decide where you want to stand, and you should be willing to face the consequences. The nature has a balance, and you have to face the consequences. Now, don't complain about consequences, because nature doesn't make any mistakes in its accounts. Okay, you get exactly what you deserve. So you can only see, okay, how can I compensate? How can I change? What lesson I can learn? Only that you can do, but you cannot complain over what has happened, because the moment something has happened, happens by the will of the Lord, and it is happened by the law of karma, and there the Lord doesn't make any mistake. Law of karma doesn't make any mistake. So you cannot question or complain about what has happened. You can only say, okay, how do I understand what has happened? Why did this happen? What can I do it? How can I handle this? You can talk about those things, but you cannot, moment something has happened, you cannot question it. That is by the will of the Lord. Okay. So now, and so basically you have to accept that there is a law of karma, there is a perfect balance in nature, and everything happens by that. So, and everything happens for our spiritual development, right? This is one thing. And another thing is the amount of gray areas that we face in life are usually very, very less compared to where things are black and white, right? There are probably 90-95% of the time things will be black and white, and maybe some 5%, 10%, or even less than that will be some gray areas. Now, where things are black and white, if we don't do what we think is right, and we don't abstain from what we know is wrong, we have no moral right to complain about the gray areas. Where there is black and white, are you following dharma? Where you know what is right, are you doing the right thing? Where you know what you should not do, are you stopping yourself from doing that? Now, if that you have not taken care, what right do you have to complain about gray areas? No. So first focus on where things are black and white, and there you ensure that you follow dharma as much as possible, right? As perfectly as possible. Then the gray areas will be there where you ask questions, take help, ask suggestions, and try to figure out. And then whatever you think to the best of your knowledge is right thing, you do it. But then pray to the Lord and know that you have to face the consequences, right? If you have made a wrong judgment, you have to face the consequences and be ready for the consequences, right? Because you don't know, whatever you think is the right thing you are doing, but then you should be willing to face the consequences, and that is where you pray to the Lord to give you the strength, to give you the right understanding, right? All those things you pray so that your gray areas reduce. But where it is not gray area, where things are black and white, if you are not following dharma, there even the Lord will not come and help you there. You have to face the consequences, right? We have to be very clear in this.
Right.
Okay.
So I think Gokul, you addressed the
Yes,
right
Shruti.
point. But so many a times people have this complaint that we are like victim of some wrongdoing by some person or some society at large. So many things happen to so many individuals for apparently no reason.
Hmm.
So, and we sometimes get into this mode that we means in order to progress in life, or we
Hmm.
also can uh, basically indulge into some kind of wrongdoings to
Hmm.
overcome the wrongdoings of that
Hmm.
I have faced. And the
Hmm.
classical example is the Mahabharata war, right? So, means the Pandavas had to go through so many wrongdoings from the other side, and
Hmm.
then since at the time of war they also had to practice certain
Hmm.
things which are not perceived in the like the
Hmm.
most righteous ways, right?
Hmm.
We all
Hmm.
know Arjuna and or
Hmm.
Yudhishthira
Hmm.
or Bhima.
Yeah. Hmm.
So means where do means there are, so these are the like the gray areas where it's difficult to draw the line to
Huh.
exactly see where what is correct and what is not.
Yeah. See, this one. See, just because you don't know why something is happening doesn't mean you don't deserve it. I gave you the
Mm-hmm.
example of diarrhea. Just because I
Mm-hmm.
don't remember what I ate yesterday,
Right.
it doesn't mean that I should not have diarrhea today. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
remembering what I did is not an point in the argument at all. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
Nature is perfect. The Lord's judgment is perfect. Okay, if I get something today, it is because of what I did something in the past, even if I don't know what I did. Okay, nothing
Mm-hmm.
There is absolutely zero mistake in law of karma. Now, this is something which we should understand perfectly. There is zero mistake in the implementation of law of karma by the Lord. Zero. No mistakes. Okay? So if I'm facing something today, it is because of something which I did in the past. Even if I don't know what I did, even if I don't remember what I did. So I cannot say, oh, I don't deserve it. No. That argument is a stupid argument. Okay. If you say I don't deserve it, it means you are saying there is no God. God is unfair, which is not correct. So law of karma is perfect. Okay. There is no mistake in the judgment of God.
Right.
Everything happens by the will of the Lord. If you face something, it is because of something what you did in the past, even if you don't know what you did in the past. Okay.
Right.
Remembering what you did in the past is not a criteria at all here. This you should understand. So you have given a situation, you have to see how, okay, fine, I don't know what I did to get this, but then if I get this, then it means I should have done something. Right? That much faith in the Lord we should have. Right? At least that much faith in the Lord we should have. Then you can go forward. You can say, okay, fine. So what can I do? Because what you are going to do now is going to decide your future. Right? So basically, saying I don't deserve it is the height of arrogance. Saying I don't deserve this is the height of arrogance. Right? It is just pure arrogance. That's all. You think you are better. You think you know better than God. Because what happens by the will of the Lord. So if you say I don't deserve this, it means you are saying I know better than God. It's arrogance. Sheer arrogance. That's all. Okay?
Right. Probably true. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll
Can
keep
our
going.
can our misdeeds be like compensated by some good deeds? Means
So see, if you read Gospel, if you read Holy Mother's work, she says, "Do Nama Japa," and things will, if you have to lose your leg, a small thorn will prick your leg. To that extent, law of karma can be compensated, right? See, that is what, and most of the time, suppose let us say, your karma is to spend 1 lakh on medical expenses, right? You donate 1 lakh for a dispensary, your karma is taken care of. You won't fall sick. Instead of you falling sick, or instead of your close people falling sick and you paying 1 lakh to the hospital, if you donate in the dispensary, your karma is taken care of, right? Similarly, suppose if you have to, take a plate and, walk around and collect food, right? If that is your karma, you go to ashram and you take prasada, take the plate and get, sambar sadam in one counter and curd rice from another counter, right? Your karma to do that gets fulfilled. Or if your karma is to sweep the floor, do social service and sweep the floor in some temple. If your karma is to sweep the floor, that karma is taken care of. So by doing social service, by doing charity, right, lot of your karma can be cleared, right?
Okay.
Understood. And in fact, we will talk more about law of karma in the next class, where we talk about karma yoga. Okay, so we will talk about
I
it
had
in
one last
detail.
question, maybe. Google, I
Yeah.
had one last question. God is also said as Kapala Mochan, right? Kapal Mochan. So Kapal Mochan means like whatever is in your destiny, that can be probably solved or mitigated by God. It is the Kapal Mochan. So where does Karma Phal and Kapal Mochan thing comes like together? Are they consistent with each other?
No. See, when you say Kapal Mochan, the Lord can change the time frame. Okay. See, if you read Ramana Maharshi's life, he gave mukti to his mother. So people have observed it, and here they have described in very, very graphic detail what happened. So when his mother was about to die, what did Ramana Maharshi do? He kept his hand on her chest and on her forehead, and then he did something. We don't know what he did. Okay. Now people say that her face showed that she was going through all kinds of emotions, one after the other, joy and fear and sorrow, and her eyes were moving this way, that way, and like basically, like what was happening was like everything that she has to face through multiple lifetimes, she was just facing in a fast pace. That is what the Kapal Mochan means. Kapal Mochan does not mean your accounts are getting cancelled. That even God cannot do. But what he can do is, he can make you go through everything together in a very short period of time, right? So that it will get cleared and you will get mukti. It's very, very simple, right? See, suppose like a criminal has come to the court. Now the lawyer has the opposite side lawyer says, okay, see, according to this section, this person has to go through 3 months in jail. According to this section, he has to go through 6 months in jail. According to this section, he has to go through 1 year in jail. Now the judge will say, yes, fine, agreed all these things, but given the situation and given that he is repenting for this, he is really wants to improve, and in the fit of a moment he did this, and now he wants to improve, he wants to change. Given all these things, we will grant that he will go through all these terms simultaneously. So only 1 year, instead of 1 year plus 6 months plus 3 months in jail, he will serve the terms simultaneously. So within 1 year, he will be released. So the judge will say, for 1 year only, I am putting him in jail. Right? Now, this is possible by the judge. This is what is called as Kapala Moksha, where everything, instead of going through some multiple lifetimes, within a short duration, you go through everything, but you have to go through all the emotional ups and downs you have to go through. But then the Lord guides it under the supervision of the Lord. It is done in a better way, in a short duration, and you get mukti. This is one thing. And second thing is, the judge, suppose, let us say, there is a very poor guy, and he comes, and then he has to pay some 500 rupees fine. Now, because this guy is poor, because this guy is repentant, he tells the judge, like, yes, I made this mistake, and I really feel bad now. I will not do it again. He confesses, he does everything. Now, but then the mistake is mistake. The fine has to be given. So now the judge has the capability to say, okay, even though 500 rupees is the fine for this, I will, because you are confessing, because you are feeling bad and all these things, I will reduce this fine from 500 rupees to 100 rupees. And he reduces it to 100 rupees. Now, then the judge still knows that this person cannot even pay 100 rupees. But then the judge cannot completely cancel it. So he will say 100 rupees fine, and he will close the case, and then he'll come down from his judgment seat personally to this person and say, Are bhai, I know you cannot pay this 100 rupees. And the judge will give him 100 rupees and say, this is my personal money out of my own salary. Take this 100 rupees and go and pay there and close the case. So the judge, he is giving the right justice from as a judge, but then he also comes down personally and helps you to pay the fine also. So this is what happens when you have an Ishtadevata, when you do japa, when you do puja and all that. The Lord, as a karma phaladata, he will help you to pay the fine. He will help you to go through everything in a way that you don't suffer too much. You have to go through this. Their law of karma cannot be violated. But then the Lord will even personally give his own money for you to pay the fine also. Right? That is why, like, you can even see in Sri Ramakrishna's life, like, so many instances where such things you can see. So this is what the whole situation is. Clear?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, fine. I think let us go. And next question. A person is born very brilliant. He can understand things very easily. but he is very lazy. He does not want to use or develop his talents. Why do you think he was born gifted? Why do you think he is not doing the right thing by not developing his innate talent? Anyone wants to try to answer this?
Because of Tamoguna?
No, why? No. Why was he born gifted? He's born brilliant, right? Let us say a child
Right.
prodigy. Like he can play chess very easily even when he's 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old,
Right.
right? How does a person be born as a child prodigy?
Because of some good actions in the
His
past.
karma
Previous karma, past karma, right? So in his
and
birth,
their parents'
he must
karma
have
also.
done. See, parents' karma, like a child will be born to a parent if the karma matches. Okay, so saying parents' karma is only saying indirectly that, see, because unless that parent deserves this child, and unless this child deserves that parent, this child will not be born as a child of that parent. Okay, so even if the parent's karma is good, then a child with the matching good karma will come and be born in that to that parent. So ultimately it is a child's karma, and of course the parent's karma also. You get the point? So you cannot transfer saying, okay, parent's karma goes to the child. The child with the matching karma will be born to that parent, and we think, okay, it is parent's karma, but actually it is not. It is not the parent's karma. The child with the matching karma will be born to that parent. That's all. Clear?
Okay, so let him and probably like because of his prarabdha karma, he has got all the good thing, but maybe God is trying to kind of examine him by giving all these things, so to know like whether he is continuing his good karma or in the future or not. Maybe to select free will, God is trying to examine him. Is that the correct one?
So good, correct. So if he is lazy and does not develop and use these skills for the benefit of the society, then next birth he will not have it, right? This birth he has it because he did something good in the past birth. Now, if he does not utilize it properly and serve the society properly using this talent, then it will not be given to him again next time, right? That's what we need to understand here. So that is why whatever talents we have to utilize them properly so that we deserve that, right? Fine. Next question. When you're walking on a lonely road, you see rupees note falling off the pocket of the person walking in front of you when that person is taking the phone from his pocket. What should you do? Why? It's a simple question, right?
We should alert him and
You have
tell
to
him.
alert him and go and take it and give it back to him, right? Fine.
Right.
So next question. When you are walking on a lonely road, you see a 500 rupee note lying on the road. What should you do?
Go and donate that or put it into the temple's hundi.
Take it and you can donate it, or just leave it there. What is there?
Yeah.
Let someone else come and take it. You don't need to even get involved in it, right?
Right. Same thing happened to Brahmanandaji.
Right. Of course, another way of saying is, oh, it is Lakshmi. You should not ignore Lakshmi. So we say, yeah, fine. Then you take it and give it in donation. That is also fine, right? So either way is okay. Either you ignore and keep walking, or give it for donation, but never use it for yourself, right? What is not yours, don't even touch with the stick. Okay, this is a simple one. Like anyway, you have to return it back. So I think fine. So anyway, this PDF I will send it so you can go through it again, and it's a good, interesting set of questions which you can discuss with your children. You can discuss with your friends, right? And this is a very good food for thought, right? And you should. What is important is you should be able to relate answers to all these things based on what you have learned in the Gita so far. So that whatever the theoretical knowledge, whatever you have gained about law of karma, who am I, who is God, all these things are not just theoretical knowledge. They should be applied practically in everyday life, in everyday situations. Every situation you face in life from now on, you should look at it from the point of view of Gita, from the point of view of the concepts that you have learned so far, so that you make a right decision. This knowledge, what you are gaining, it should be transformative. It should create a change in behavior and attitude. Right? That is what is important. Right? And mere understanding is not sufficient. You should put it into practice, and you should take your life decisions based on this knowledge. That is the use of it. Okay. So any questions? We are already out of time. We need to stop. Any quick questions or comments, and then we will close.
Gokul, I think, see, in the forms that you mentioned, right, the personal God, Rama, Krishna, and all, they came as human beings, and we have seen them. But Narayana, Shiva, and all that, they are with 4 hands. So who envisioned this, or like what is? What?
So rishis have envisioned in those forms, right, for us to use. Right? The rishis have envisioned. They have seen and they have given us those forms so that we can meditate upon them and we can improve our spiritual life.
Then why? Then like how we are saying that Rama, it's part of like Narayana. Then avatars of Narayana are those. So like, how is that connection made?
See, basically, like the Lord is there at the supreme level, and then there are, because we have multiple kinds of emotions and multiple kinds of inclinations. Like we project the Lord in those forms. Like we want one Kalyana Guna, like with all Sarva Alankara Bhushita Lord. So we say Narayana. We want an ascetic Lord with full of renunciation. So we have, okay, Shiva. We want a motherly God. Okay, we have. Now then, different aspects of this Lord get manifested in various forms. Like if you take Rama, he's an avatar of Vishnu, like the who protect the dharma and all those kind of aspects. But then he also has a large amount of the ascetic nature. So that is why Rama is kind of a mixture of the Shiva nature and the Vishnu nature, right? Whereas if you take Krishna is kind of full and full all Vishnu nature only, right? Now, so like that, if you look at, right, there are fundamental, what you call as archetypes, right? Emotional archetypes. And based on those archetypes, like various deities are there. And then based on those various deities, then the avatars, like what gets manifested, we say this is the avatar of that person, right? So avatar of the Vishnu aspect of the Lord, we say is avatar of Vishnu. Avatar of the Shiva aspect of Lord, we say avatar of Shiva, right? So these are all, real archetypes which have been given forms so that it is easy for us to meditate upon by the rishis, right? So these are all there, right? Like, and see, as I told you, like avatars are innumerable, and from one point of view, this entire universe is an avatar of the Lord only, right? And through every jiva, right? Through every jiva, Mahamaya is doing a grand puja for Shiva. This entire universe is nothing but Parvati's puja to Shiva, right? And everything that each one of us does is an offering by Mahamaya to the great Ishvara. Just that, like, whatever each of us does is a part of that grand puja which is going on in this universe by Mahamaya to Brahman, right? And every individual is an avatara only. The manifestation differs. The degree of manifestation differs. If there is low degree of manifestation, then that guy will be a thief. He will be running after the senses. If he has a higher level of manifestation of the Lord in a person, then that person will be noble. He will do some social service. A still higher manifestation of the Lord, he will be a saint. A still higher manifestation of the Lord, then he'll be recognized as an avatara. Highest manifestation of the Lord will be like Rama, Krishna, right? So it is all different degrees of manifestation only. Every one is an avatara of the Lord, right? From the ant to the Brahmaji, Brahman, right? Brahmadi Pipilikanta Janani, right? So right from the Brahma to the Pipilika, the ant, everyone is an avatara only. The Lord manifests different levels of power through different people, to different jivatmas. And higher manifestation of higher, nobler power, we say, we recognize them as avatars, right? But from a point of view, like this entire universe is an avatar of the Lord only, and every jivatma is an avatar of the Lord only. The difference is only in the degree of manifestation. Clear?
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So we will chant Om Shanti Shanti and we will end. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Rama Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Ram Krishna. Jai Ram Krishna.